Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me today. We're going to talk about repurposing your content for social media. Not only are we going to talk about repurposing the content, but we're also going to talk about some of the strategies behind that. And I'm joined today with my friend and guest, Beck Power. She's a content marketer, international speaker, and the founder of Power Creative Media, which is a social content agency that helps coaches and entrepreneurs show up as rock stars online. Her team helps small businesses to repurpose content that drives awareness, engagement, leads, and sales. She's also been featured in Forbes, Yahoo, Entrepreneur, New York Magazine, and The Next Web. Thanks so much for joining us today, Beck. I'm really excited to have you here on the show with us.
Thanks. It's awesome to be here. Thanks for that great intro.
Well, you're pretty spectacular, and you've been featured in so many places. I never knew that. Before we dig in about repurposing, what was that like being featured in such wonderful media powerhouses, and how did you use that to your advantage?
Yeah, I started doing online business a while ago. So a lot of the features that I've had, some of them were for the stuff that I'm doing now, and a lot of them were for the previous projects and things that I did. And I had a few. I don't know if I want to call them like strokes of luck, because I really think, you make your own luck and you put yourself in a position of when there's an opportunity, you take it. But yeah, it was really great to be featured in some of those. There was one that a buddy of mine sent me a picture, and he was on a subway in New York and had like New York Mag and was like, what? And saw this article about me, and I hadn't even known that it was there. And he sent me this picture and he's like, what the hell? Like, this is so random. So a few times things like that have happened. I didn't even know about a lot of them actually, and friends pointed them out. So
Wow, that's so awesome. That's fun. And it's so cool to have other people see it and bring it to your attention. Because in a day like today, people pay a lot of money to be in certain publications these days.
yeah.
So to have that show up kind of organically and then have other people, friends, fans, followers show it to you, that's pretty awesome. So tell me about what your life has been like. Like, what have you done in the business world? And how did you get to where you are now with this whole agency of helping people with their content on social media?
Yeah, listen, I started in 2011 or 12 with the online thing, listened to my first podcast, read Tim Ferriss's book, and went like on the journey to be a digital nomad. That was like my whole thing at the beginning. It's kind of come full circle now, but like I really wanted just to go and be a digital nomad around the world, do whatever. I traveled a lot originally from New Zealand, and I had decided that I'd already traveled, did my university degree in 3 different countries, and had already traveled a whole lot. But when I discovered that you could work and live elsewhere, I was like, this is it. And I failed at that for about 5 years. Like, it was just traveling around the world, trying to do the things. I think 90%, 99% of that was mindset related. And I think that's really common in the digital nomad world. And it's only really in the last 5 years that I have started to get an idea that, this is like fixable. All this stuff, these barriers that I'm hitting are, fixable. And then have kind of changed what I was doing and upgraded my mindset and things like that. Some of the projects that I started with were websites, freelancing. I had a pretty popular little travel product for a couple of years. That was great. And I eventually retired it, but that really got me kind of into the info product world, it got me into things like ClickFunnels and stuff like that. I don't use ClickFunnels anymore, but it was a really great kind of jumping point for info products. And I've done tons of stuff, e-com, like everything you can think of, really. I have a pretty good idea of most online endeavors. And one thing that I had trouble doing was to choose a niche, right? Because there was just so many options. And what I decided was, at some point, I guess maybe just over a year ago now, I was like, you know what? I love content. I love Gary Vee. I love working with different companies. I don't want to just work in one particular thing, but content allows me to play with being creative, which is one of my like major passions. I can play with different companies and different niches and different audiences. And I just have so much fun. And so when I finally realized like content was the way, I just thought, oh, this is great. I found my thing. And it makes me really happy. I feel really grateful to have ended up where I have.
That's really a wonderful story about just trying things until you figure it out. A lot of people just stay stuck because they can't decide or they just don't know. But it really does help if you just go out and try it. You may love it, you may not love it. And the only way to get to where you want to go is just to start, right? I work with a lot of the same people that you work with, and it is just about a lot of mindset, but a lot about just moving forward at all times. And part of that moving forward process is putting yourself out there online, trying to get a feel for connecting with other people and get a feel for what their problems are and get a feel for what you can offer them, right? And social media is a huge tool for that. So repurposing content, what does that mean whenever we say repurposing content?
Yeah, so super niche thing that I do, right? Like this is the main thing that we do is take people's videos a couple of different ways. Either they've got them lying around. Most entrepreneurs have got some training, some webinars, some podcasts, all types of video or audio content, or even written like blogs and things. And they've already said the things that they want to say. I mean, how many things do we say? Not that many, probably less than 20 over and over and over and over again. And eventually you're like, oh my God, I'm so bored of saying the same thing over and over again. And you're not feeling very creative and you're just repeating the same stuff. And so what I do is two things. One, I can help you be more creative and say your message in a more exciting way. But with repurposing, what we do is take the stuff that you already have and we chop it up and pull out all the good bits. And then now you've got like a sound bite. And sound bites are so valuable because people don't really want to sit through an hour of content. Like some people, the diehards really do, but some people just want something actionable. Or they, what's really valuable for a business owner when you have a sound bite is brand awareness. People seeing you putting out some golden nugget in 50 seconds. And then they're like, wow, this person really knows what she's talking about. That just blew me away. And then they keep scrolling. It's just brand awareness. It's not for sales or engagement or stuff. It's just so their brain goes, ooh, that's pretty good. And then they move on. And that's the only goal with brand awareness content. And that's one of the things that we do is repurpose it. And it doesn't even have to be things that you have lying around. A lot of people don't have a lot of content that they feel confident that I could pull 10 or 20 golden nuggets out of, right? But what I do then is interview them and ask them all the questions to elicit the golden nuggets. And then even in less than an hour, we've got 10 or 20 really great pieces, sound bites about who their best customers are. What type of people do they work with? What type of people do they not work with? Why did they get started doing what they're doing? You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of stuff that people want to know that doesn't necessarily come across in a podcast or in something that's like a webinar or things like that. So that's another way to create the initial piece of content too.
I think it's great because in this world where you're an entrepreneur, perhaps a solopreneur, you want to have really great content out there. You want people to recognize you and you become kind of this brand awareness or this like recognizable person that can actually solve a problem for someone. But we're busy. And we don't have time necessarily to create content every single day. So that's wonderful how you guys can take one piece of content and turn it into something that can be used for even months ahead, right? A lot of people that I work with are solopreneurs or just really small business owners, and they don't have time to sit and create content for social media day in and day out. So something like what your agency offers is so unique and so efficient, I'll say. It's just a no-brainer, in my opinion, to outsource that to somebody like you, that you guys have a system, you have a process, and you have kind of some coaching around it too. That it, like you said, I'm not really sure what nuggets to talk about or what things to pull out. You can help curate some of that Again, being a solopreneur or a small business owner, sometimes you feel like you're on an island and you have no idea. You just get kind of stuck in your own stuff. And to have some outside eyeballs and influence on what it is that you're doing that's more helpful sometimes even than just helping with creating the snippets of content. Like, just tell me what I'm supposed to be creating. So like with reels right now, for example, I'm trying slowly to get into this TikTok reel world, right?
Me too, actually. Yeah.
It's not comfortable at all for me. I'm in my mid 40s. I will almost say almost to late 40s. And TikTok to me has been really something that my kids use, right? But now that I've been on there a little bit, I see that it's a whole different world than just people dancing around, right? So I started following Rachel Peterson. And she's a really great person to model in my entrepreneurial space. She's like this queen of social media. And I love watching how she's able to put herself out there both personally and professionally, which is something that I personally struggle with. And I'm sure a lot of other entrepreneurs do too. Like, how much of my personal life am I supposed to be showcasing in addition to my knowledge that I'm really trying to impart on other people? So, but that being said, do you help people create even content for those types of platforms, or is it just primarily Facebook and Instagram?
Right now, we don't create that type of content, and I'll tell you why. So mostly what we work with is Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And that type of content is really specific, right? It's can be square, right?
Yeah.
And it's not usually very fun. It's not super engaging. There might be like, it's more, like I said earlier, it's more for brand awareness. So you just see the person, they say something great.
Mm-hmm.
And then they see other posts of yours too. And then that, like, all together with the different content, you have someone who's really interested in working with you because you've checked all the boxes. Now with Reels and TikTok, it's totally different content. It's created in a totally different way. I find it really interesting, and I've spent some time thinking about this. Like, is there a way to repurpose the content? Now, you can, of course, repurpose the content if you want. You can take that video and you can just plonk it right onto TikTok. But that's going to suck. No one's going to be interested in it because it's not done for that platform.
Right.
There's not such a difference between Facebook and LinkedIn, right? It's kind of the same type of thing. Sometimes, there's a lot more memes on Facebook, for example, or certain GIFs or things. But most times it's transferable. But for something like TikTok, there's really a style. And Reels is the same. I don't even differentiate them. You just put one and put it on the other one. But that's what I'm saying. It's the same type of thing. You can swap them between Reels and TikTok, but you can't do it between other platforms.
I got it.
You have to spend like dedicated time creating specific types of videos, whether it's like one of those ones where they point and then you have to add the thing. Like, that's the type of content that they want on there. And so I don't repurpose it with my agency right now. I'm definitely excited to create more of that type of content though, because I really believe that is the future. The shorter, the better. No one will want to watch anything for more than 5 minutes. I think they already don't. And so whenever you have a longer piece of content, you really have to clip it or use it again in some way. And so I'm always looking for ways to do that.
I think that's a great point. Even a podcast episode like you and I are doing, it can go up to 45 minutes, an hour, where that's not for everyone. But it would be such a bummer to have this wonderful content and this great conversation and not show people what's inside of this hour commitment, right? So that's why I think I love the sound bites, not just for content sake, but for actually teaching people what they're missing out on from this conversation. So it's a really powerful tool for multiple reasons about brand awareness, but also giving value to your people so you can lead them to find more information about what you're talking about, what you're teaching, what you're offering, whatever that is. One thing, you and I talk once in a while, and last week you came and presented in my group, which I totally appreciate, and I took notes even. One of the things that you talked about was 4 types of content for social media. And I've been thinking about this the entire time because I know that I am not ticking those boxes personally. For me, social media is just like, oh, that thing, I'll post it today. Like, I just got to get something up there, whatever. And I know that it could be so much better, especially if I had the agency behind me like you guys have. But the content you talked about was authority content, personal content, promotional content, and bridging content. What I think a lot of entrepreneurs post is promotional content. That means they're trying to get people to buy their stuff, or authority content, right? Like, look at me, I'm the boss here. And one thing that I personally struggle with, which we just mentioned, was personal content, which I know that you talked about. You guys don't really create that. It's something, it's personal, right? I have to do that myself.
Yeah.
And then bridging content. So would you tell us a little bit about what that bridging content is? Because that's the one that I really feel like if entrepreneurs and business owners could add even just the bridging content portion to their social media strategy, they would see a big difference in how people are interacting with them. So what is that bridging content?
Yeah, definitely. So that's definitely, I agree with you that if you only had to pick one, that's the one to do. Bridging content is the type of content that ethically brainwashes your clients into working with you. And what I mean by that is their brains think about working with you. And if someone there's a really thin line between someone that just likes you and follows you versus has thought about buying from you. So if you think about people that you follow, there's people that you follow that you just like, and you literally have never considered buying from them. And there's other people that you're like, oh, one day and every time you see a piece of their content, you're like, yeah. And you know, at some point you're probably going to buy something from them. And we want to be bringing people, you know, through that, like across that bridge as much as we can. And so bridging content creates that bridge, and it's type of things like testimonials is a type of things that bridging content usually gets people saying yes, 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 yes. A lot of the time, not all the time. If it's just a testimonial, it might be that people go, oh, I need that result that person got. Yeah. And really one of the keys is not the result that they got, but it's like the position that they're in right now. And it's not like, oh, you know, I have a Tesla or something, and I'm like, that's really great. I also want a Tesla, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to work with you because I don't really know what you're doing. So if you can describe really well where they're at now and what their frustration is now, and then show them like where they could get from that place, that's how I buy. That's like, oh my God, I totally feel that. And it has to be, actually, it doesn't have to, but it really helps if it's on an emotional level, because people don't buy from logic.
Yeah.
You could explain, like, here's what you do, and and people are just going to be like, great, like, okay. But if they feel something in it, if I feel that pain and that frustration, this literally happens to me all the time. I buy things really easily because I'm an emotional buyer, right?
Right.
So it's like, and most people are, then if I can feel that like reason to buy that thing and that pain and that like, this is going to solve it, then I know, and we all have things, by the way, right now, everybody, a thing that they know that they want to solve. They're here and they want to be there. There's always something. If I ask you right now what you're struggling with, you might say a number of things. And then, you know, that's the thing that you're scrolling and you're like subconsciously ready for something that's going to speak to you in that way.
Yeah.
And so it takes a little bit of work, right? I mean, we're talking about, it takes a bit of work to think about that. And I have exercises in my programs that we go through and figure out what people are really, it's not just finding what they're struggling with. It's like, it sounds like that's what it is, but there's a lot of thought and steps that go into it to make them think, okay, what would it be like to actually work with you? So testimonials, case studies, a lot of the things with numbers, you know, posts Doesn't there?
quantifying
Yeah.
things. I really think we do process numbers really well as people in general, whether it's a timeline, whether it's a weight loss number, whether it's how much income, which we got to be a little careful about whenever we talk about that. But yes, people can understand numbers. There's no, it's very but much cut and dry. There's no guesswork or interpretation when it comes to that. And I do think that's important to add when you can. I
Yeah.
think, is there a way, like, as you're talking about bridging content, even if you're an entrepreneur, business owner that maybe doesn't have a lot of testimonials to share yet, you are likely your own testimonial, right? So could you potentially even start combining a little bit of that personal content to become bridging content as well? I feel like they could go together, because your story at the beginning of where you were before you had, so what Russell calls like the hero's journey, right? All the epiphany bridge is how he kind of does that. So if you get to talk about how maybe you hated your job and you were struggling to make it every single day or whatever, people can see themselves in that part of you, and that's what they're going to relate to. They're not going to relate to you driving the Lamborghini and beaching all the time. They're going to relate to where they are right now, which is where you probably were a few years ago. And I think that we get caught up a lot in wanting to share the pretty stuff, the highlight reels, so to speak. And we sometimes, and I'll speak from experience, I don't really want to go talk about the struggle before, right? I want to look like I've got all my stuff together. I don't want to sit here and rehash the thing that I had to figure out how to get out of. But that's the exact thing that so many people have told me so many years that needs to be shared. Whether it's quitting that job with uncertainty, whether it's going through that divorce, whether it's giving up pizza, whatever your niche is, everybody can, your ideal clients, hopefully you've defined them. If not, you need to, they will relate to that beginning story. And that's the beginning story also that you need to share from your clients as well. You can't, it's hard. Like for me, I have clients, that have hit 50K months after 3 months working with me, $300,000 per month after working with me. If I come right out of the gate and start talking about that, I'm turning a lot of people off, because they're like, there's no way that's going to be possible for me.
Yeah.
The same and I know I keep going back to the weight loss niche because it's something that we all kind of can relate to. We've all been, involved in some kind of fitness diet thing. But if you are only looking at these shredded after photos, right? You're like, no, there's no way that I am ever going to get there. But if you look at where this person was before they started working with the expert, whoever, with you, and then how that transformation happened, that's where the possibility is. And I think that's what's kind of missing totally online right now, is that transformational process. We just hear the celebrations, like, wow, $1 million, wow, 100,000, I did a 6-figure launch, whatever. It's like, yeah, but nobody's telling the real story about how many dollars they spent in ads, first of all, or how many years they had trial and error to get to that $150,000 launch, right? And I think people are ready to see more of that.
Yeah, that concept, it's a mindset thing about your identity, who you are, who you identify as underneath of everything, right? Like how you see yourself. That's played such a massive part in, the journey that I'm on, the mindset journey and the progress that I'm making and continue to make. And I don't think the journey is ever over. But the identity is such a strong part of that. And, you talking about that just reminds me that when we are creating content for our clients, when we are showing up, we show up in a way that speaks to their identity and who they are now, and then who they aspire to be, and that requires, like, every time we upgrade ourselves, it requires a shift in identity. It requires a shift in how we see ourselves. Right now, I identify as a person that makes the amount of money that I make. And if I want to make more money, I have to identify as a person who makes that amount of more money. And that's not a decision. That's like work, it's effort. And so speaking to people on the level of their current identity that's how you really get to people.
And I think that's really missing.
Mhm.
We watched a show last night on one of the channels, the downloadable program things. It was called Fake Famous,
Oh, I've
and
heard that.
it was
Cool.
it was pretty great. It
Mm.
talked about basically took three random people and made them fake famous on Instagram. And it talked a lot about this influencer culture that we have on social media right now. It was really eye-opening and maybe I'm just so naive when it comes to what people are up to. I'm an ethical person with a lot of integrity. And that some of the things revealed in that show were not things that I wasn't aware of, but it put some pieces together like, oh, these influencers could have feasibly bought
Mm.
every bit of influence that they supposedly have. And it really shifted how I want to play the social media game. What's your take on how important is likes, engagement, comments, views, all of that, especially in this world now that I can push a button on my phone and buy that stuff? So where we're kind of conditioned in social media to go for the likes, and then it validates us,
Mm.
and it makes us feel maybe a little bit more worthy or important whenever we get more engagement on our posts. But what happens if we're putting stuff out there and it's not getting those massive numbers? Are we
Mhm.
doing something wrong? Should we shift? Should we just stay the course? Like, what do we do? I just think I need to shift out of, like, I'm not going to worry about all the numbers. I'm going to worry about consistency
Mhm.
and my integrity. So, what is your take on that?
Bluetooth high five over here. Yeah, listen, I totally agree with you. There's so much shady shit that goes on in the influencer space and in marketing. Everything is an illusion.
Yeah.
Everything. And so what it's playing on, and I won't say people don't individually do this stuff on purpose. Everyone's just trying to do their best.
Yeah.
But like what the system is playing on is our own insecurities. And so we naturally compare ourselves to other people. And it's really impossible not to, right? It's difficult not to do that when you're on social media all the time. And you can't, because it's literally just, you don't have no idea about the story behind all the things. I know people who bought 200,000 likes on their page, on their Facebook page,
Yeah.
totally destroyed his pixel. But he was like, I just want to look legit. And I'm like, what? Like, why? And I understand, why, because of the perspective or perception, I guess, is everything. And so from one perspective, you could easily say, yeah, if I look legit, then people will think I'm legit. And it's kind of like faking it till I make it. And but like, if that's how you want to live, great. But I think that underneath of all of that is just a level of insecurity so strong that you're not even being honest with yourself. And from my perspective, if I had bought hundreds of thousands of likes or whatever, I just would feel so out of integrity that it would eat away at me. And I really think that it eats away at a lot of people. And the only reason that they're not acknowledging it and haven't made it right is just because they're numb to all of these things, because when you see other people, it just feels like, oh, this is what I have to do. And people live their whole lives like that. And it really, I think it physically eats away at them inside. And but if you're putting out content and you're not getting those type of insane results, which are often bought, which are often an illusion of some kind, then just literally don't think about that. You have to focus on what you are doing each day and improving that. And my content is probably 50% total crap. It doesn't get any results for whatever reason. Maybe it wasn't a good piece of content. Maybe nobody saw it. Maybe the algorithm didn't show it. Maybe I'm posting too often. Maybe I'm posting not enough. Maybe I'm posting at the wrong time. maybe I should, like maybe it was belonged on a different platform or would have done better. There's unlimited things that can go wrong. And so all we can really do is improve our skills at what we're doing. And social media is one of the best ways to market your business. That's what the option is. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Like literally stop and don't, but if you're going to do it, improve your skills, build on them, practice, do less of what doesn't work and more of what works. If you're doing really well with referrals and you're not getting any social stuff, like learn more about referrals, learn how to, you know what I mean? Like learn what works. But don't, you can't get caught up in the comparison game because it is all an illusion.
Yeah, I totally agree. And what you just said reminded me of something that you actually posted not long ago. With all these options of all these ways to market ourselves, we've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, Clubhouse, like all these things coming out of the blue. And we think we're supposed to be on every single one of them. And we're supposed to be really great at every single one of them and engaged on every single one of them. Well, that's not necessarily the case. And so something that you said a week or so ago was pick one and kind of crush it, right? So I agree with that, but it's pretty hard with somebody like me that I do utilize YouTube, I utilize Facebook and Instagram. And I don't think I want to pick just one of those because I've been doing it for a while and I have a little system going. But like adding TikTok in, Reels, all these other things, it doesn't really make a lot of sense time-wise for me. So how do you determine what platform you should focus on?
Well, that's a really good question. I think you're absolutely right that if you have a good system for YouTube and you already have some stuff that's going well, keep doing that. I think my recommendation for picking one platform is for people that are overwhelmed and don't know what to do. Now, if you know what to do and you're already killing it, like keep doing that. Why would you listen to somebody talking like you're already killing it? So I would definitely pick I would keep doing what you're doing if it's working and if you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And if you don't enjoy doing something, like if you're like, oh, TikTok, oh, this is terrible, I don't want to, like, don't try to do it. Like, there's no reason. You certainly don't need to be on everything. And I think if you are really struggling, picking something that, number one, your audience is on, and number two, you enjoy using. Yeah. Like, that's the key. I wouldn't try to do something if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to use it. And what happens then, and I've experienced this many times, I'm sure we all have, is we have that to-do list that's on the wall. Mine right now says, create 3 TikToks, right? Yeah. All we do is put it on the wall and then we look at it every day for like, 2 months.
I call that psychic clutter. It's taking up unnecessary space in your brain.
100%. And if you're like, if you've got these things that you supposedly need to do, just like focus on one where you can actually have a really good goal. Like if you're on YouTube, what's the reason you're on YouTube? Are you just posting videos and it's not getting any return? Yeah. Maybe stop doing that. If you want to get 100,000 followers and you're like, okay, I'm doing a challenge for 90 days. I am going to do a video every day on YouTube and I'm going to post it at 4 p.m. and I'm going to a plan. Post it on Facebook and Instagram to let everybody know the YouTube video is up, and that's happening for 90 days. That's a plan, and you should do that. And if you want to use other platforms as well to promote that one, great. But if you're just randomly throwing content around on platforms, it's a huge waste of brain energy, and you're right. It takes up space that you need. You need that space. You only have a certain amount of energy in a day, and if you're spending it like looking from platform to platform and worrying about what you're going to post. That's a problem. So do you guys in your agency, do you not only help repurpose the content, but then help your clients figure out where to post that content? Yeah, in a way, for sure. So what we're doing now, so we have the 2 options really. The one is where we just do the content, you send us the videos, we chop them up, we send them back to you. And there's like not a lot of conversation. I'm not even really involved in that process. My team does it and it's done. But if you are looking for, that works really well for people who already have a strategy, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But if you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm not tracking my leads from Facebook. I'm not tracking my leads from Instagram. I couldn't tell you how well my content's doing. I don't even know if I'm posting on the right platforms. That's something that is kind of my upsell, right? If that's like, cool, well, let's get on a call once a month and let's make a plan. I give you my tools for tracking leads. I give you my tools for scheduling content. Everything that I have is yours. I show you how to use it. Your team can be on the call. And we make a plan that is really solid that you can collect leads from, which is the way forward.
Well, yeah. Why are we doing this? That's why.
Ultimately. I can't tell you, how often people are like, oh yeah, I post on social. And I'm like, cool. Like, how many leads do you get every week from social? And they're like, I literally don't. It's like they never thought about tracking their leads before. And you can track them if you're getting emails from whatever. You can say I get 12 emails a day or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if you don't know where they're coming from and what's working, you can't double down on it. So that's what we look at.
Okay, that's really helpful. I think that's where a lot of people get lost too. They just think, oh, well, I'll just start posting stuff without a plan. It's just like people that come in and want to create a funnel or a website without an offer. Like, it's backwards, right? You got to have these strategies in place before you can worry about repurposing any kind of content. You may already have a huge arsenal of content ready to repurpose, but you have to have the strategy behind it to make it worthwhile, not only for yourself, but for the people that are going to be consuming it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can relate to this. I see a lot of, obviously this is my world too, right? We're online a lot and really just watching what other people are doing and researching. I see so many people, they confuse me about, like, they'll just be throwing random things out there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes them look unorganized. Like, I would never work with them because they don't have any kind of strategy. They don't have any purpose really to what they're doing. You can just see maybe they're fishing for engagement or, other things. And so having that strategy in place before you start putting all of that content out there, it makes your life so much easier. And it makes the lives of the people you're meant to help so much easier as well. It becomes a no-brainer for them. You're the go-to authority in your space when you do this correctly. This isn't just about using social media to get vanity, right? Or to get instant famous, which isn't really the people that I work with. That's not what they're interested in anyway. But it can be a really powerful tool when you use it properly. And that's exactly what you guys help people do.
Yeah, you're right. I would rather have 12 people interested in what I do and needing my services than I would like 12,000 people who don't really give a damn about anything and are just following me on Instagram for no reason.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, it's so much to think about. So much to think about. So you have, not only do you have your agency and where people can pay you to work with you, but you also have something that's really wonderful, which is an awesome free resource center, basically, that people can come in and just kind of get to know you and know how you work. And what is the logic behind that? I love it. And how can people find that?
Yeah, so it's called the AMP Content Academy, and that is a place where I keep all my free resources in one place. You log in, you can see them all. And the reason is because I was sending out, I know when people get started, and I know a lot of people in your audience will relate to this. It's like, I have a freebie, right? What's your freebie? Oh, it's this thing. Okay, great. And then people download it and it goes to them or something. And then you create a new freebie. And it's like, okay, now I got to find out that one's going there, this opt-in. And I've done so many info products that I got just tired of dealing with all this stuff. So I just use Kajabi, and now I put all of them inside a login area, and people opt into the academy, which is just all my free stuff in one place. And when I have a new freebie or a training, I'm like, hey, everybody, I've got this new training. It's in the member area. Here's
that you're already a part of.
They're already in there, and that means that they're going to keep logging in and looking at my stuff. And there's other stuff in there too, right? Which is my paid stuff is available in there.
Yeah.
But it gives people one solid place, so they're not like, how you've got 7 things on your desktop that you downloaded and you need to look at some point. So they're all there in one place. And that's a free resource with all the tools that I use to come up with content ideas, to create like content strategies and plans and talk more. But there's a book in there they wrote about content repurposing. It's hard to write a book about content repurposing. It's not very long, but yeah, all that stuff is in there. And then we also have like, I actually just rebranded a workshop to make it a course, and that's called Amped Social Content. And that's a paid course, but it shows you kind of the next level of all this stuff if you want to, you know, turn one video into 30 pieces. If you want to, actually, one thing that I'm about to add today-ish, you know, this week is we wrote out our SOPs for our content repurposing. It's literally the best. It's like, click here, then open this window and click that, and then take, you know, upload video here. It's like really great. And you could give it right to your VA and they could repurpose your content for you. It's for people who, you know, they don't have $5,000 or whatever to work with me and my team or whatever it is. They just need something to get started to repurpose their content, start like getting more, like kind of like a content engine built. So those SOPs are now available. Just, you don't even need, that's like my selling point is like, don't even open this file, just send it to your VA.
That's really fantastic. And you're just giving that away?
That one is paid. It comes with
in the workshop. Okay.
It's an Amped Social Content course.
Well, and even still, that's very affordable for people. I love that method of the free kind of members area. And then you have a really great built-in ascension model right there. You're not having to do a whole lot of extra work to get people to understand your offers, right? They're all kind of laid out for them once they get into that space, and they can see more about how you work with others and with how you could possibly be working with them, because they're in there learning your methods. So one thing I think people get really scared of is giving too much away. And I really want to help people shift out of that, because really you can give away as much information as you have. It does not matter. What people want is, and what you can charge premium prices for, is the implementation. And that's exactly the strategy that you have going on for what you're doing. Another thing that it also helps do, not just for your business, but I help other people set up similar things. It helps validate your offer, believe it or not, because if you have people opting in for that free thing, they clearly are interested in this, what you've got going on. And so now they're a warmed up audience to now invite into a paid thing. And we did this recently with a client that was starting fresh with an online fitness training program. And it was his first venture ever. He had no list, no social media that was geared towards that business. And so basically we just started inviting people into a free membership area that was filled with some of his example workouts and coaching. And over the course of about 4 weeks, we had over 450 people sign up for that organically. And so that gave us the momentum to say, okay, now we have some people that are wanting what we're doing. Now we can maybe move them into, let's offer them something else that we'll see if they'll take it. And now it's grown into a 6-figure online fitness training business just by giving things away. And most people would say, so in that freebie that he created, he has 20 workouts, right? A month of workouts, basically, that a lot of trainers would want to charge for. And he just gave it all away. And it really helped build up credibility, trust, a relationship, believe it or not, by just allowing people into his world without expecting anything in return. And I think if we can all start practicing that a little bit more, I think we all see a big difference in the way that people are doing business with us.
Yeah, listen, you bring up such a great point. And this is maybe one of the biggest things that I talk to clients about when I do like day-long intensives with people where we do their content, we kind of shove it into one day. And it's the marketing of the thing versus the thing that's behind the paywall. And I know, like, when you give away your freebie or whatever, that's usually a piece of what's behind the paywall, and that's great. But the actual marketing of the thing is not what's behind the paywall. A lot of times people think they need to take what's in their course and like give bits of it away in order to get people to buy the course, but that's not it at all. If you go back to what we said earlier, the selling of the course is not the course. The selling of the course is the selling of the course. You've got to find some way to, you know, get elicit emotions,
Yeah.
have people thinking about the purchase, to have people thinking if they even trust you or like you. There's like you said, multiple types of content that you can use to do that, but you're really getting them in the mindset to make the purchase, or not even the purchase, but to download the freebie. That's like 3 separate things, right?
Yeah.
The delivery of the content, the free thing that you give, but that all starts with the type of content that you're putting out in the beginning to put them in the right mindset to buy.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. And I know that, I mean, I've been in this game a long time, as long as you have. And my entire computer, well, actually, I have several computers that are full. Hard drives are full of things I've created, things that, you know, I used to teach and maybe I don't teach anymore or whatever. Valuable resources that just sit here and not really serving anyone. So what if I was able to put a few of those things in a structured way, not just like haphazard, throw some stuff together, but with a purpose, put some stuff together and offer it to people, start serving, come from a place where you know that the money's coming. Like, it's not just about making the dollar. It's about serving the people that need your help the most. So maybe that's one of the biggest takeaways for me from this entire conversation is just modeling what your model is, with the, instead of like a free checklist here and a free PDF over here, put it all in one place and continue to potentially update that whenever, like, we're all creators, right? I can't help but create something new all the time. So, but I'm not going to sell everything that I create. I want to help people. And so I think, man, I just think it's a wonderful strategy.
And the other thing is that people don't always, I mean, we've all done this. You buy something and it was $27 or $100 or whatever it is. And you're like, this sounds really cool. This is the thing that I need. But you know, you don't really need that. You need like the whole thing. But you're like, well, maybe I'll get what I want out of this $27 thing. And you read it and it's great. And you're like, whew, I don't want to do that. I need to get it. So giving stuff away, I don't care how much information I get on things sometimes. I'm never going to do it.
Right.
But I still will download the freebie, or the actually I'm more likely to buy the $27 thing than download the freebie, to be honest. I still want that. And then I can go, is this what I really want? You know, by looking at the content and going, yeah, this exactly solves my problem. I just don't want to do it by myself. Yeah. And then I'll pay more. So giving away whatever is great. And most people won't buy the big thing. You know, then maybe they'll buy the $27 one and never talk to you again. And that's what it is. Yep. But you get people in by giving them really quality stuff that they know is going to solve their problem. And if you're attracting the right type of people to do that, then they upgrade. And that's what the purpose of my academy is. I think you should do it. It's a great model. And I just have to send out emails to updates about the whole thing instead of individual ones for people who are down for
certain things. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. So Beck, how can I'm going to put some links below, where everybody can find you, but go ahead and tell us real quick where to connect with you, because if you're in the market to really get some help with your social media strategy, with repurposing your content, with figuring out what direction to go with your social media and engagement and sales, how can people find you?
Yeah, so super easy, ampcontentacademy.com. That's my free academy. That's got an option for working with me as well in different capacities. And if there's something you want that you don't see on there that's content related, hit me up. Happy to help. Happy to just have a convo and see what would be the best option. I always recommend whatever the best option is, even if it's not me. I'll just give you my perspective. Yeah, so happy to jump on a call. You can do that through ampcontentacademy.com.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks so much for being here today. And I hope to have you back, especially after you have your, first 1 million followers on TikTok. Then you can come in and talk to us about that. Right?
Definitely.
Great. Thanks so much, Beck. I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for checking out this video. Subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't done that already. And if you'd like to check out more of our videos, go ahead and just tap the screen right here.